Welcome back to RBD Block Challenge. Today we are working on block number 5. It's called Cheerful Churn Dash, and it is created by Amanda Niederhauser. It's one of my favorite blocks, and I love her take on this. So here is mine, made out of batiks, but I also have a feature of it in our RBD solids. Aren't they beautiful? So this is a super fun, easy block to create. Let's get started. The first thing you're going to need to do is download the pattern on our Riley Blake Designs website, the Cheerful Churn Dash, like I mentioned before. Put that over there. I've cut out all my pieces so they're ready to go. So the first thing it tells you to do in the pattern is to take your D squares and your A squares, and we're going to make half square triangles. But you might as well grab your F squares too, because we can just take them all and chain piece. Now, I have a Lori Holt Seam So Easy guide, so I don't need to mark my fabric. But if you don't, like I've said before, you're going to need to mark your fabric corner to corner, and that is going to be your guide, and you're going to sew a 1/4 inch on each side of that. So again, I'll just mark one like that. We can do as I'm talking about it. Oh, let's try that again. And then we're going to take it to the machine and chain piece all. So you'd mark all your white blocks and you would pair them right sides together. But since I'm using batiks, there's no right or wrong side. I'm going to pair those together. Might as well do it right here. And so for each one of our batiks, each one of our squares, we're going to make 2 half square triangles. Okay, so again, if you've got a Seam So Easy guide, you line, and I also have a 1/4 inch foot here. I'm going to put on my glasses. You're going to line the side of your 1/4 inch foot with the corner of your fabric, and then this bottom 1/4 inch seam right here, line right here. So here's your center, here's your 1/4 inch seam. You're going to line that bottom corner or opposite corner. Here's our marked fabric. Whatever works for you. More time for sewing. Okay, let's run down the other side. All right, let's bring it over here and clip our threads. Okay, let's get out our rotary cutter and cut down right down the middle, corner to corner. And don't you love this new red Ulfa cutter? We partnered with Ulfa and bringing out this exclusive red to be in my bonnet and Riley Blake Designs. It's so much fun to have Riley Blake Designs on our Ulfa cutter. All right, let's take all of our cut, almost half square triangles right here. Give them a quick press. Just soften up those seams a little bit. right, let's get our rotary cutter. Now here's our little square up template. I just pull it down to one corner. So I only have to do 2 sides, and then the little dog ears. Okay, let's clean this up a bit. We'll put that under there. And we can already lay everything out a little bit. Actually, before I lay it out, I'm going to take it has you lay it out, but you might as well take your G and your B rectangles and sew them together. So right sides together, let's sew these strips together. Let's make sure we have, there's 4 of them, there we go. Okay, we can just chain piece them, all these strips real quick. I'm gonna grab my scissors there, just clip my threads while I'm at my pressing station. I'll just give them all a quick press, soften up those seams. And now we're gonna press to the dark side. All right, now that those are done, we can start laying out our Cheerful Churn Dash quilt block. So we are gonna start with our 9 patch in the middle with this beautiful orange square. We'll lay that all out. And then that's the next thing that we're gonna sew. But I also love to, might as well lay out the rest of the block. These strips, they go on the inside. So make sure everything is turned the right way. And now we're gonna work on our 9 patch. So we're gonna take the squares in the center and flip them to the outside. And to keep everything in order, I'm gonna pin them. So this is where you're gonna start your stitches, and you know you're gonna stitch down that line. And this is the order we're gonna sew them in. So let's get started. Okay, let's take this back and open it up like that. I don't really press at this stage. And then let's flip the outside to the inside. Okay, that makes it easy to transport over to your machine. All right, you can take this to your pressing station and press your seams. On the pattern, it does tell you which direction, so that's helpful. Or you can just do a nice little finger press, paying attention to the pattern. And it tells you to flip your seams this way. Those open up, so which allows you to nest your seams really well. And how fun is it to nest your seams with this little bird pen, right? That is a pun intended. And I just love this new flower magnetic pin bowl because look, you can just kind of toss in your pins and they just land perfectly. And then the pin head tops just kind of naturally stay out. So that's a lot of fun. Again, you like all the good stuff when you are sewing, makes your life easier. So we've nested these seams with our little birds. Look at that, that's perfect. So we're gonna flip it over and do the other seam. And that goes that direction. There we go, nesting our seams with our little bird pins. Now we're ready to sew these last two seams on this middle unit. Okay, let's take this over to our pressing station. Take a look. We just want all those corners lined up. I'm gonna give it a good spritz. I'm gonna press that on the outside and then open it up. The center of our churn dash is looking good. Okay, so we can take it back here and it should measure 6.5 inches squared, unfinished, and it does. So that's ready to go. Now let's just sew together all of our parts, making sure everything is faced the right direction. Let's take a look. It's looking good. And I think I'll flip. Again, I just like to sew in rows, saves time and thread. And then I, again, grab our pins. Okay, well, I'm just gonna take our whole board over here, make it a little easier. Grab my pins right here. And we'll sew down our row. Right, let's lay this out. Looking good. And let's flip this outside in. Get it all pinned in place. Okay, let's sew. Okay, let's bring it back, take a look. It's looking good. You are welcome to do one section at a time, but I do it all together and I don't clip my threads, so I can just flip it over like that. And it looks like that's naturally naturally where it wants to lie down. So I'm going to open my or push my seam to that direction and my other seam like that. I'm going to pin the outside. Just nest those seams. Now, if you get these bird pins, you're gonna go, look at me, I'm nesting my seams with these bird pins. It was actually the first time I thought about it today when we're doing it, so. Gotta have a little humor while you're sewing along, right? Okay, last 2 seams to nest, just like that. I'm gonna pin the outside. Okay, let's go sew our last 2 seams. Okay, let's take it to our pressing station. I'm gonna give it a little spritz. Let's open it up. What we want to see is that our points aren't cut off in our stitching on all 4 sides. Okay, let's bring it back here. I'm gonna put this underneath here. Let's square it up. Again, we want to make sure all of our points are inside this 1/4 inch, which is our seam allowance. And it looks great. There's a few little threads. And the Cheerful Churn Dash block is finished. We can't wait to see what Amanda Niederhauser block looks like with her own fabric. So we're so glad you're here following along and sewing along with us. Join us next time as we work on block number 6, Jack in the Box by Sandy Gervais.